This is one of those stories where you never think it can happen to you until it does. I was in my apartment one cold February evening and I was by myself. It was getting late, so I thought I'd go to bed. I have a little trouble sleeping, so I usually turn the TV on and I just kind of watch TV and hope to fall asleep without thinking about it. Because if I shut off the TV and I try to fall to sleep, I'll just stare at the ceiling for hours. So I usually just, leave the TV running and hope that I pass out. So that's what I did this night, hoping that at some point I would fall asleep and I'd wake up and it would be morning. Well, I did fall asleep. It took me a little while, but I did fall asleep watching some sitcom that I had seen 100 times. And I woke up, but it wasn't the morning. It was the middle of the night. It was pitch black, and I was somewhere that I had never been before. I knew it wasn't my bedroom because I wasn't in a bed. I was on cold concrete floor. And it was pitch black. You know how when you live in the city, there's lights on 24/7? So even in the middle of the night, it doesn't matter with the store signs and the neighbors' apartments and vehicles and all of that. There's always a little bit of light. This was in the middle of nowhere because it was pitch black. And I pulled myself up and I looked around, and I was a little freaked out at first because it was so dark. Having lived in the city most of my life, I've never seen it that dark. And I kind of thought for a second maybe I'd gone blind. And I know it sounds stupid, but that's what I thought. I thought, you've gone blind. So I just kind of sat there, and my legs felt heavy, and I felt groggy. I didn't know what had happened. I hadn't been drinking the night before. It was just a normal night. I went to bed expecting to get up and go to work in the morning. So anyway, I started to think to myself, maybe this isn't real. Maybe this is just a dream. Maybe you're panicking for nothing. Maybe you'll wake up. So I just sat there, and I waited. I waited to wake up, and I never did. Well, after a few minutes, I realized I wasn't going to wake up because I was, in fact, already awake. So I thought to myself, what do I do now? The only thing I can do is try to figure out where I am, how I got there, and more importantly, how I could get away. So I struggled to get to my feet, and I almost fall. I'm dizzy, I have vertigo, and I had to kind of brace myself up against the wall to stop from falling. So I cursed or something, I screamed, I don't know what I did. Then I got the surprise of a lifetime because I heard this woman's voice from behind me say something like, "Who's there?" or "Who are you? What do you want?" Something like that. So I turn around and I can't really see anybody. And I don't answer her question right away because, hell, I don't know who she is. She could have been the person that kidnapped me for all I know. So I just kind of stood there and I waited for my eyes to adjust a little to the darkness, and it seemed like it was getting a little bit brighter. I could see a little bit. She never said anything else, so I slowly walked towards the direction that I heard her voice coming from, and as I got closer, I could see there was this table in the middle of the room, and on top of it was this naked woman, and she was chained to this table. So I just kind of stared at her for a second, and she said something like, "Please don't kill me." So I told her, "Look, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not the one that chained you to the table. I don't know how I got here, and I just want to get out of here." So as I'm turning my back away from her, she says, "You can't just leave. You can't just leave me here." So I turned back to her and I said, "Listen, I'm getting out of here. I can't stay. I'll get somewhere where I know I'm safe, and I'll call the police and they can come and save you. But I am out of here. Well, then I hear this voice say, "Oh no, Mr. Collins, you're not going anywhere." It's a male voice and it's coming from the other direction of the room, so I turn around. Again, I can't see anything. So I stand there and I say something like, "Who are you, and how do you know my name?" He says, "Oh, I know everything about you, Mr. Collins." Well, almost everything. So I say to him, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" And he says, "In my hand, I have this axe. I'm going to throw it at your feet," which is what he does. So I hear it hit the floor, and I look down, and I can vaguely see the outline of it. And he says, "What I want you to do is pick up that axe and walk over to that table. Using that axe, I want you to chop that woman's head off." This has got to be a dream. This can't be real. It can't be real. But it is real, and I know it's real. So I say to him, "Why are you doing this?" He says, "It doesn't matter why I'm doing it. You're in a situation and you have to decide what you're going to do." I said, "Well, I can tell you right now, I'm not cutting at some woman's head off that I don't even know, hasn't done anything to me. Why would I cut somebody's head off?" There's a pause, moment of silence. I don't know. Is he still there? Is he left? I don't know. Then he finally says, "The reason you're going to cut her head off is because if you don't, I'll cut your head off. One of you leaves, and one of you dies. And guess what, Mr. David Collins? It's your choice. You get to decide. She lives, or you live. But you can't both live. And I'll give you a few minutes to decide. But when I come back, one of you is going to die." Then all of a sudden I hear this noise, and the door of this building opens, and I can see that I'm in this like wooden storage shed. So he opens the door, and the sun is just starting to come up, and I can't see much. I just see trees, and I see a lake or something. And he didn't say anything else. He just closed the door. So I hear this noise. I can tell that he's locking us in. He's got a chain and a padlock. So I stand there for a second and I make sure that he's gone. Then I look down at my feet and I see the axe. So I bend down and pick it up. And slowly I walk over to the table where the naked lady is. I'm just standing over her with the axe in my hand, looking down at her. Now she's scared, really scared. The sun has come up enough and I can see her face and I can see the fear in her eyes. And she says to me, "Please, I'm begging you, don't kill me. I didn't do anything to you. I don't want to die." I look down at her and say, "Yeah, well, neither do I."